Power to the truth. This is Margo. This is Wednesday, March the 13th, 2019, 4:41 p.m. Pacific Time, United States of America. Well, what a crazy day it's been. I know Facebook has been down for a lot of people worldwide. Mine is down still. I got up really early, about 4:30 or 5, and got online and checked things and checked earthquakes and went on Facebook briefly, and everything was working then. And then I went back to bed, and then I got up and got online, and lo and behold, I couldn't even get the Facebook page up. And did a search and found out that it was a global outage and all this, and then later on this afternoon I cleared out all my cookies and cache, browser cache and all this, and rebooted and was able to log in, and then finally things started loading up, but I was never able to get the messenger up, and then I couldn't log out. It wouldn't let me log out, and so I shut it down and cleared out the cookies, and then I couldn't get back on. So it's not working for me. And so for anyone who's been trying to message me on Facebook or leave a comment or whatever, I can't go there. I can't do it. So if you need to contact me, you can contact me through my website, margoshealingcorner.com, and I have a Contact Margo page, and you can just fill out the form and email me there. If you're not someone that you already have my email address. So I don't know how long this is going to go on. I don't know what's going on. The energy is really weird for me today, and it's hard to describe, but I feel like a big shift is happening. So let's get into our report. And there's no new methane data, and they don't even have any methane data up now on CAMS. It's gone. So I don't know what's going on there. Last night when I was uploading my video, I had problems with YouTube. I got it uploaded and it was processing for hours on end, and finally when I opened up another browser, was able to log in and get it working. But it's just craziness, and I feel like they're shifting over to this artificial intelligence reality, and they're shifting data, and AI is having to learn things, and so I just have a feeling that that's what's going on. But it just feels really weird to me and kind of creepy. So I recommend everyone stay prayed up while we're going through this, and we're headed into some really dark times. I know that. And so this is why we need that spiritual support of prayer and being in contact with the angels and God and Jesus, and being able to keep that inner strength within, because that's where the truth is. The truth is not outside of us, it's inside. So what I want to show here today is sulfur dioxide from CAMS. Now this is from today, Wednesday the 13th, and I've got the global view and total column pulled up. And what I want to show is Alaska. We still got activity going on in Anchorage, but you see this big red plume here? That's actually what has drifted over from the Chivaloose volcano eruption. So I'm going to show that in a different view in a second. And also we have some more sulfur dioxide releasing down here in this South Indian Ocean. So we'll see if we have some more earthquakes down on that South Indian ridge soon. And you know, we've got earthquakes going on all around in the Philippines and Indonesia and different places. Here's a release in Brazil. That's a beginning of a release. I imagine that that's going to turn red in the next day or so. I haven't even loaded up this movie to see what happens today. Well, that kind of goes away in Brazil. But, and then we've got Popocatépetl going off. We had a 5.5 earthquake in Hawaii today and a whole bunch of others there. And it was on the mainland. And we've got lots of activity going on in the U.S. And so I just want to get into this. So if we go to the North Pole view, here we are. Let's go back to today. Make sure it loads up. Because this is deceptive. If you haven't been following the sulfur dioxide, this release from from Shivalush over here from a few days ago, it was actually on the 9th that it released. If you haven't been following that, you don't realize that this is the plume that came over from there. And if you're just tuning in and just like getting on cams and looking around, you think, oh, well, there's a release in the Arctic. In fact, that was my first thought until I went back a couple of days and saw that that's the plume, and it separated, and one went to the east and one went to the west and northwest, and then but it does look like there's a little bit of a release there. I don't know, but but the important part is that this is over the Arctic, and this is going to get up into mix with the atmosphere. Hold on, I have a call. I'll be right back. So anyway, if we run the movie, we can see, without any future release, we can see how it's spread out and is dissipating here. So, but this is mixing with the air, and so it's sulfur dioxide, a lot of carbon dioxide, methane in there, and water condensation, ozone. All of this is the kind of stuff that comes up in a volcanic explosion like they had, and it's still releasing. And so as that goes up and starts breaks down into lots of different components, but it breaks down the ozone layer. It also will, when it comes down in rain or snow, it will make it like acid rain. And also the ash, as it falls down onto this Arctic sea ice, it'll make it melt a lot faster. So this is bad news for the Arctic sea ice, is what I'm saying. We've got this big release over here in Popocatépetl, but so there's that. So I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention, and so that we can remember what's happening here and and that this is a huge factor in that sea ice. So, and if we have more releases, which I imagine we will, and more sulfur dioxide coming up into the Arctic, yeah, it might cause a dimming or a cooling effect, but it's only short term, and then it causes such havoc in the atmosphere that in the long term it's going to make things heat up a lot faster and that ice to melt faster. So we'll leave this as a backdrop, and I'm still tracking that cyclone down in... Oh, I have one more thing before we go to the cyclone. This is a link that Nostradamus sent us, aka Dave Alcock from the UK. Thank you, Dave. This is a link, it's a Twitter or a tweet, World Big Eruption column on the Sulfur volcano from Kamchatka, Russia on March the 9th, the video. And so you just click view and we can run this. It's not very long, but look at that cloud. It almost looks like a mushroom cloud from an atomic bomb. It's incredible. But that's from the Sulfur volcano. It went up 34,000 feet high, straight up. So I will leave the link below for that. Now, we're still tracking this cyclone off the coast of South Africa, Cyclone Idai, and let's refresh here. And it's really tightening up. It's getting very well formed. Here's the eye of it, and it's still headed down towards the central coast of Mozambique. It's still gathering steam, and it hasn't really made landfall yet, but you can see the arms of it are coming in tighter. Here it was yesterday. We can see it was kind of more spread out, but look at the difference from yesterday and today, how much tighter it is. So it's really organizing into this storm, and it could be very deadly. And here's the eye of it down here on Climate Reanalyzer, and we've got all this rain. And so while we're here on Climate Reanalyzer, let's just look at the rain. Look at this rain coming all the way across the Atlantic to the UK. Here's this band going all around the equator. Here's another band going up into the Pacific. See how this goes around the equator and down, and we'll come back to the US in a moment. Here's a huge band over Brazil, and then going across South America, and they were saying New Zealand was getting rain. It looks like it's getting rain on the west side, and then in North America we've got a huge system just covering up the whole mid-section of the country with rain. To the west of that is snow and coming down, and these are large systems. And look at this one system going all the way up from the Atlantic, equivalent to where Florida is, all the way up north to the UK. That's crazy. That blows my mind. So anyway, we've got some articles to track this cyclone today. I tried to get the latest on this cyclone. Of course, that was this morning. There might be some updates since then. Okay, this is from weatherunderground.com, and this is from last night. And they're still tracking the movement coming across. They're expecting it to hit landfall about 6 p.m. on Thursday, it looks like. That's tomorrow. So there's that. Looks like they're expecting it to be in the orange range, which would be a Category 2, 95 to 110 miles per hour. Right now it's a Category 3, 111 to 130 miles per hour. And it's been a Category 3 for these last two readings. And it was a 2 out here. So it's picking up steam. As you saw, it was getting organized. So that's kind of what's going on there. Here's a report from Africa. This is from the citizen.co.za. Mozambique Cyclone Idai SA team prepares to leave for rescue mission. So here's a picture of the cyclone. The team is mobile to be on standby at Linmed Maputo Private Hospital. Rescuers from different South African agencies are preparing to leave for neighboring Mozambique in anticipation for rescue and relief efforts for the Category 3 Hurricane Idai that is set to land on Thursday afternoon. The team is mobile to be on standby at the Linmed Maputo Private Hospital. The cyclone is set to affect Beira, which is the coastline of Mozambique. The population for Beira is believed to be 250,000. Gusts of winds estimated to be over 250 kilometers per hour are set to lash the coastline, with an expected rainfall of 300 to 350 milliliters. Cyclone Idai expected to be the largest the area has seen in a decade. A team of 15 rescuers, including rescue technicians, advanced life support paramedics, and lifeguards, are on their way with 6 4x4 vehicles, boats, and jet skis to assist the community. We wish the teams luck and safe passage during this deployment. This is from the African News Agency. Yeah, we need to keep these people in our prayers. This is serious stuff. And the next article, Club of Mozambique. Mozambique emergency teams on alert as dangerous and powerful tropical cyclone Idai looms. This Red Cross. Here's another picture of it. And here's Beira. And on NASA Worldview, it's right down here. It's not showing, but it's right down here in that little crook. So Mozambique is on high alert as tropical cyclone Idai barrels towards the country's central coast. Red Cross disaster teams in Zambazia and Sofala provinces are readying response plans in anticipation of the cyclone's landfall towards the end of the week. The dangerous and powerful cyclone could pose an extreme risk to tens of thousands of people in Mozambique. We encourage people in Mozambique to remain alert, to keep following weather forecasts, and to respond immediately to any warning messages that are relayed by authorities. According to meteorologists, Idai's intensity is equal to that of a Category 3 Atlantic hurricane. However, at its peak intensity, it may reach the equivalent of a Category 4 or even a Category 5 hurricane. Depending on its intensity and trajectory, Cyclone Idai could also exacerbate the situation in southern Malawi, where more than 115,000 people have been affected by severe flooding. In Malawi, Red Cross search and rescue teams are ferrying people trapped by the rising water to safety, as well as distributing basic relief items in 6 of the worst affected districts. And we talked about that yesterday. So there's that one. And then I have another news item. This is on a different subject, has to do with climate change. I know everybody likes a little bit of news, climate change news. This is from The Independent, and this is from Thursday, February 14th of this year. Norway approves copper mine in Arctic, described as most environmentally damaging project in country's history. Operation will see heavy metal waste dumped in fords and put reindeer at risk. So I'm going to look at the clean view. Norway has approved a plan to begin mining for copper in the Arctic, angering environmentalists who fear it will lead to the destruction of reindeer pastures and the pollution of nearby fords. Indigenous Sami herders and fishermen argue the plan, which was approved by Oslo on Thursday, this is back in February, will add to the existing problems of climate change, oil spills, and poaching affecting their homes and livelihoods. Up to 66 million tons of copper ore are believed to be in ground in Kvalsund in Finnmark, Europe's northernmost region deep inside the Arctic Circle. Environmentalists fear it will lead to mining and drilling projects and other fragile ecosystems in the Arctic, which has become the latest frontier in the quest for rapidly depleting mineral and fossil fuel reserves. Melting sea ice has also allowed heavily polluting ships to enter pristine habitats, and nations are eyeing up its precious natural resources. Here's some pictures. And they talk about the Arctic worm is warming at twice the rate of the rest of the planet, etc., etc. It's opening up commercial opportunities. Norwegian mining company Nucir, which owns all of the mining rights, said it would make use of the area's deep-sea, ice-free port, a major highway, and a developing industrial zone, which was already in place. So they're going to make this platform that's going to be floating so they can just move around. or I might have been mixing up articles. Hang on. No, I got that mixed up with oil drilling, so no, you can't. Anyway, they're saying this is one of the most environmentally damaging industrial projects in Norwegian history. Activists say 2 million tons of heavy metal waste will be dumped every year, the equivalent of 17 lorry loads every hour, into a fjord, given special protection to conserve salmon. So it's just another very sad thing that's happening, and nobody can do anything to stop it because Satan's in charge. He's in charge. That's all there is to it. It's Satan's world, and Satan is in charge of all the things that are happening now because we're in the end times. So those are my stories for today. And we've got a lot of earthquakes to go over, so I'm going to get right into the earthquake report. I've got USGS pulled up here for the last 24 hours for all magnitudes, and we're showing 234 on the map. And out of those, 34 of them are of 2.5 magnitude and higher. So let's see what's going to come off the map first. First will be this 3.1 in Kobuk, Alaska. So let's just start right up there in Alaska, because a bunch of these that are about to come off the map are up there. So Alaska is, we've been keeping it in the forefront here because of what's going on. And so of the magnitude 2.5 and higher, we have this 3.8 near Sandpoint, Alaska, at 11 o'clock this morning. And here's a 2.8 near Anchorage at 10:51 last night. Now these are just 2.5 magnitude and higher. There were 4 at Kobuk, a 3.1 at 0 kilometers depth, 3.0, 2.8, and 2.7 at 0 kilometers depth. And there were some smaller than that. So when we look at all magnitudes, we'll go over there. And then up here in Koktovik was a 4.2, a 2.6, a 3.1, and a 2.7. So you can see that these are getting larger in magnitude. So let's go to all magnitudes now for Alaska. See if I can get them all on here for just Alaska. So we're showing 58 on the map for all magnitudes. So starting down here, remember we had the swarm down here in the last couple of days in Cape Yakataga, and there are 7 here today, so it's slowing down, and they're twos, like the largest is a 2.2 and under that, but there are 1s and 2s right there. So we've got 7 there, so that's slowing down a little bit. And then coming over, okay, we saw that one down there. Here's a 2.4 near Kodiak Station. Here's a 1.9 near Larsen Bay. Here's in this Cook Inlet, it's a 2.0 near Anchor Point. There's a 2.4 near anchor point, 1.6 near anchor point, 2.2 near anchor point, and 1.9 near Redoubt volcano. So this is where we were seeing that sulfur dioxide releasing as well. And here's this cluster in the Anchorage area. There's how many are right here? There are 12 right there today. They're pretty small, but the small ones count. These are 1s and 2s. The highest is this 2.8 that we saw, and then the others are like, here's a 2.3, and then the others are like mid 1s to high 1s range, and then they're peppered around. Now let's move on up to Kobuk and see how many all magnitudes we have. 8. So just call them off. 1.4, 3.1, 3.0, 2.8, 2.7, 2.0, 1.6, and 1.9. And that one came in at 1:30 this afternoon, 0 kilometers depth. And these times are Pacific time because that's my time zone. And then up in Kotovik, they've got the 4 that we already showed you, that we already looked at. Now, while we're here, let's go down to Hawaii. And this has been very active. So things are happening down here. There's 17 here today, and the biggest one was this 5.5 right down here on the edge of the where Mount Kilauea comes down. And so it's a 5.5. It came in at 3:55 this morning. It was 7 kilometers deep. So let's just call these out in order, and you can see. And some of these are at a negative magnitude, meaning that the epicenter of the earthquake is up in the chamber of either the volcano or the mountain. That's showing the movement of the magma is up there. So the first one we have is a 1.8 right up here. It's a 1.8 near Honaunapupu at 6:51 last night at a minus 1.9 kilometers depth. Then there was a 1.9 near Volcano, Hawaii. That was the Mount Kilauea. That's the crater right there. At 6:54 last night at a minus 0.1 kilometers depth. Then a 2.3 down here southeast of Volcano, Hawaii at 8:24 last night. Then a 1.4 near Fern Acres at 9:32 last night. Then a 1.8 near Pahala at 9:43 last night. A 1.8 back up here at Kilauea at 11:31 last night. Another 1.3 at Kilauea. I didn't mean to do that. Where was I? Okay, 1.3 at Kilauea at 12:11 this morning. Then a 1.8 to the east of Kilauea at 1:53 this morning. And then the 5.5 right down here at 3:55 this morning. And then a 0.9 right next to it at you know what, it was at 3:55 this morning. I've got 5s on the brain. So the 5.5 happened at 3:55 this morning. And then a 0.9 right next to it at 4:09. So that was 9 minutes later. No, 14 minutes later. And then a 1.4 next to it at 4:14. That was 5 minutes later. Then a 1.4 right next to it at 4:26, so 2 minutes later. Then a 1.5 right next to it at 5:23, so a little less than an hour later. And then a 1.8 at 5:48, so 15:20. My brain is just not working today. 25 minutes later. And a 1.2 at the same spot as the 5.5 at 9:32 this morning. And then a 1.4 right next to it at 9:44. And a 1.8 down here near Pahala at 2:38 this afternoon. That's the last of them. There might be some more come in while we do the report, which we will show at the end. So we can definitely see that there's an uptick, and especially with the higher magnitude with that 5.5. So everyone needs to be alert in Hawaii. Now, while we're here, let's go on down to South America. We had two near Ovalle, Chile at there was a 4.3 at 4:53 this morning and a 4.0 at 2:46 this afternoon. And then moving across into the South Pacific, into Indonesia, there was a 4.4 near Kokopo, Papua New Guinea at 11:12 last night. Then there was a 4.2 near Dobo, Indonesia at 8:01 last night. Here's one that just happened, a 4.6 near Kota Ternate at 4:22 this afternoon. 4.5 near Tilamuta at 4:36 this morning, 169 kilometers deep. Here's two that happened. These were in the ocean. First was a 4.3 near Ogotua at 6:50 last night, and then a 5.0 at 6:51. So 1 minute later last night at Ogotua. Same depth, 35 kilometers deep. Then coming on up, this ring of fire on Taiwan, or actually both in the ocean. The first one was a 4.7 near Hualien, Taiwan at 9:32 last night, and then a 4.5 near Taitung City at 2:07 this afternoon. Next, there was one at Japan. It was in between these little island areas. 5.2 near Annan, Japan at 9:48 last night, 33 kilometers deep. And a 4.5 off the coast of Iwaki, Japan at 9:45 last night. So those were 3 minutes apart. Then we've got one up here. It's in Kazakhstan. a 4.7 near Saryagash, Kazakhstan at 2:32 this afternoon. Now let's come on over to the Dominican Republic. There have been 20 here today. So it's very active, so I'll call them off at 2.2, 1.2, 2.0, 2.0, 3.3, 1.6, 1.6, 1.6, 3.2, 2.6, 3.0, 1.6, 3.0, 2.2, 2.1, 2.3, 2.2, 2.6, 2.0, and 1.6. The last one came in at 11:42 this morning. So it looks like a cluster right down here on this southern part of Puerto Rico. There's a whole cluster right there. There's 8 right there. So they're not big enough to cause damage, but it's definitely showing movement and to pay attention. Now moving into the lower 48. We're going to start with this one on the border between Alabama and Florida. We've seen, this is like the third one we've seen here in the last week or so. 2.3 magnitude at Flomaton, Alabama at 6:27 last night. That might have been included in my report last night because I had a late start last night, but if so, that's just an overlap. Then in Colorado, we've got 2 more near Dove Creek. Had a 2.4 at 10:08 last night and a 2.1 at 5:47 this morning. Now coming on over to Utah, we're seeing activity here. We've got a 1.3 near Farron at 2:11 this morning. A 1.5 near Farron at 8:04 this morning. And this one, it was at a minus 1.6 kilometers depth right there. And a 2.0 near East Carbon City at 1:40 this afternoon at a minus 2.7 kilometers depth right there. Then moving on up to Bluffdale, to south of Salt Lake City, 1.5 at 9:17 this morning. Now moving on up into the Yellowstone region, we've had activity. We've had 5 here today. Here's let's start with this 0.8 is near Stevensville, Montana. This happened at 6:01 this morning. And this is 2.0 near Old Faithful Geyser, Wyoming at 1:28 this afternoon. And these others are at Old Faithful as well. So we've got 2.8 up here near Old Faithful Geyser at 6:13 this morning. 0.8 right next to it at 6:29 this morning. Then a 2.3 down here to the southeast of Yellowstone Lake at 9:49 this morning, and a 2.0 right next to that at 1:28 this afternoon. So we've got movement going on there. Now moving on into the Pacific Northwest. We've got 3 showing here. We've got 1 left over from Amboy. They're showing a 0 magnitude. Hold on. This came in at 10:57 last night. So this might have been left over from that swarm that we saw at Mount St. Helens. That is right in the crater of Mount St. Helens. And we saw 24 there yesterday, or night before last, but I reported on it yesterday. And then there's a 1.4 near Snoqualmie, Washington at 2:44 this morning. So there's those. Let's see if we've got anything showing up in Oregon. Just because it's not being reported on doesn't mean there are no earthquakes, because they don't all get reported for various reasons that I won't go into. Let's start up here in Northern California. We've got a -0.3 near Mineral, and this is in the Lassen volcano area. This one came in at 6:14 last night. And we've got one right in the middle of Lake Almanor, a 1.5 that happened at 1:08 this afternoon. And then coming down into the Reno area, we've got some activity starting up here. We've had, I'll just call these off, 2.4 near Chilkoot, Vinton, California at 3:37 this morning. Now these are bigger than we're used to in this area, so this is to be noted. 0.6 near Cold Springs at 4:20. A 0.1 near Cold Springs at 2:48 this afternoon, and a 0.5 near Cold Springs at 3:51 this afternoon. And these last two were at 0 kilometers depth, so right at the surface. Then moving on down, we've got a 0.1 near Cold Springs at 7:13 this morning. Here's the Reno Sparks area. A -0.3 near Golden Valley at 4:54 this morning at 0 kilometers depth. Here's one in the Carson Range, a 0 magnitude earthquake at 10:19 last night, and a 0.5 near Verdi at 12:40 this morning. And then in the Lake Tahoe area, we've got one to the northwest, just on the northwest side of Lake Tahoe, a 0.9 near Tahoe Vista, California at 3:49 this morning. Pyramid Lake is clear. Okay, then we've got a larger size one up here near Lovelock, a 2.4 that happened at 10:24 this morning. So it was to the north, to the south of, here's Lovelock. So it's almost directly to the east, kind of southeast of Lovelock. And then a couple down here in the Walker Lake Hawthorne area, a couple of small ones, and not many down here in southern Nevada, just a couple. There's a little one there, and here's a 1.3 near Alamo, and it's eerily quiet down here today. So let's come on down this east side of California now, and this Mammoth Lake, Long Valley area. I'll just call them off. We've got, I think it's 10, 11 here. 1.4, 1.5, 1.0, 0.6, 0.3, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, minus 0.1, 0.5, and 0.8. So lots of activity there, even though they're small. The small ones count. Okay, in this view we've got 7, 0.8 near Little Lake, 1.4 near Coso Junction, 1.9 Coso Junction, 0.8 Little Lake, 1.9 Coso Junction, 1.5 Coso Junction, and 1.5 Ridgecrest. So these are the Coso Junction ones here. So Ridgecrest, now we're coming on down into Southern California. Here's a 2.1 near Ojai at 3:21 this morning. Here's a 2.8 near Pacoima at 11:46 this morning. You can see this is in the Los Angeles area, so that's a little bit of a larger one for this region. We don't normally see them this high down here. So see if we can get them all on the map. We've got 26 on the map. Not very many. Not very many considering we have some days we've seen a whole lot more than that. Here's a 1.3 near Borrega Springs. 1.3 near Moreno Valley. Let's see what's above 2.5 magnitude down here. Okay, here's one across the border in Baja, 2.9 near Alberto Oviedo, Mota at 1:07 this afternoon. 2.7 near Moreno Valley. 2.8. So we got 3 down there that are 2.5 magnitude and higher. So this 2.7 had also 1.3 on top of it. Just a few seconds apart. So they're coming in pairs. This the 2.7 came in at 12:28 this morning. Oh, they're minutes apart, not seconds, sorry. and this 1.3 was at 12:43 this morning. So that's very close together. So we're seeing these things in pairs. So let's come up the coast. We saw that. Let's follow this San Andreas fault line. 2.0 near Parkfield. 1.2 near San Ardo. 1.3 near Livermore. 1.2 near Rodeo. 1.9 near Yountville. And then a whole big cluster here at the geysers. We've got 46 today. So that's making up for it being quiet in other places. 46. Very small. Most of them are under 1. Here's the 1.6. That's one of the higher ones. 1.0, 1.4, 1.2, 1.1, 1.8. Here's a 2.0. That's the highest one so far. 1.3. And it's the rest are under that. Under 1s. So small ones lead to bigger ones. That's what we've seen. So let's zoom out and see. Okay, Hawaii had another one. Looks like. Since we started. Yep. Here's a 2.2 near Pahala. That came in at 5:35 just now. So Hawaii's got 18 there. So I think that's it. We got all these others. So I hope things kind of settle down. It's just such a weird vibe in the world right now. I'm picking up very strange energy. And I don't know what's happening. Feels like a shift to me. So I love you guys. I recommend everyone get your spiritual house in order. Get right with God and Jesus while you have time, because time is very short. And until next time, God bless you. Go in peace and goodbye.